What's up, guys? The Snowman here, and today we're talking soccer because the U.S. women's national team is returning to competitive action for the first time in over 8 months. The U.S. taking on the Netherlands in a World Cup final rematch in Breda, Netherlands this Friday, November 27th. It's two of the best teams in the world. It'll be great to see the U.S. women again. So today I just kind of wanted to take stock, see where the U.S. women's national team is at, go over their schedule, look at their roster, potential lineup, give the scouting report for the Netherlands, and look ahead to the Olympics next summer. So pulling up the schedule now for 2020, as you can see, it's the first match for the U.S. in 261 days. They haven't played since the She Believes Cup back on March 11th against Japan. This is the longest the U.S. women's national team has gone without a match since the program's infancy. But before the pandemic began, the Stars and Stripes were on a serious hot streak. They've won their last 10 games in all competitions, and the U.S. hasn't lost a match in 31 games. That unbeaten streak extending all the way back to January of 2019 in a friendly versus France. And this is part of the lineup that the U.S. has taken to the Netherlands. You can see the forwards here. Maybe we'll see Alex Morgan in a USA jersey for the first time since the World Cup final. She's been steadily working her way back to fitness after the birth of her daughter. Morgan made her debut for Tottenham at the club level earlier this month. Tobin Heath and Kristen Press have also been playing in England. Those two U.S. veterans, current teammates at Manchester United. Lynn Williams is tied with Megan Rapinoe with 5 assists for the U.S. to lead the team in this abbreviated 2020 season. And speaking of Rapinoe, she has not been included in this November camp. Rapinoe hasn't been able to train lately, but is on track to rejoin the team in the new year. Also, no Carly Lloyd or Mallory Pugh, who are still dealing with some injuries. As we pull up the midfielders then, no Lindsey Horan either, although she's listed here. Horan did test positive for COVID-19 last week, so she's not with the team in the Netherlands. She's been replaced by Jalen Howell, who's fresh off helping Florida State win the 2020 ACC Championship. Other midfielders, Rose Lavelle, Sam Mewis returned to the U.S. women's national team after helping Manchester City win the Women's FA Cup on November 1st. We also have Sam's sister, Christy, who plays for the Houston Dash, and the lone non-professional on this roster, Katarina Macario, who plays at Stanford. Some very familiar names when we look at the current defenders. All 4 players who started the World Cup final 16 months ago are back: O'Hara, Sauerbrunn, Dahlkemper, and Dunn. Becky Sauerbrunn, the most experienced player on this training camp squad with 177 caps. O'Hara and Dunn provide the width in the attack by gunning up the flanks and whipping in crosses. And I'm excited to see more of Alana Cook as well. Cook playing right now for PSG in France. Also, Emily Sana is back after a recent loan spell playing in Sweden. We're seeing much more overseas experience with this squad. And the goalkeepers, Alyssa Nair and her 63 caps, lead the way here. Nair was the starter throughout the 2019 World Cup title run. She's the likely starter against the Netherlands. Aubrey Bledsoe, one of 4 players on this team looking to make their first ever appearance for the USA. And just a quick note about the U.S. head coach Vlatko Andonovski. In case you forgot, 2-time World Cup champ Jill Ellis stepped down in late 2019. So Andonovski is in charge, and his record thus far is impeccable. The U.S. women's national team 10-0 with the 44-year-old at the helm, and if the U.S. beats the Netherlands, Andonovski will break a tie with Pia Sundhage for the best start for a head coach in U.S. history. And the U.S. might be ranked number 1 in the world, but the Netherlands no slouch at number 4. They're the reigning Euro champs from 2017 and the World Cup runners-up from 2019. In October, they qualified for the UEFA Women's Euros, originally scheduled for 2021, but now pushed back to 2022 due to COVID. The U.S. 7-1 all-time in 8 meetings against the Dutch, and we mentioned how this is a rematch of that 2019 World Cup final, a game which saw the U.S. prevail 2-0 thanks to a Rapinoe penalty and a brilliant individual goal by Rose Lavelle. The Netherlands still have most of their stars from that World Cup team. These are the starting lineups from that final, and the Dutch boasting the Golden Glove winner from last year's World Cup, Sari van Veenendaal, one of the elite goalkeepers in the world. She commands the back line, makes spectacular saves. The U.S. defense is going to have their hands full defending against this front 6 of the Netherlands. They all play for big clubs in Europe. Star striker Vivianne Miedema is only 24 years of age and already the leading goal scorer in Dutch history. Lieke Martens has breathtaking dribbling skills on the wing. Then on the other wing, they employ Berenstein or Van de Sanden, both lightning quick. Daniela Van de Donk is the creative midi in the center of the pitch. She and Miedema teammates at Arsenal. Jackie Groenen plays for Man U with Tobin Heath and Kristen Press, so some familiarity there. And for me, I think the biggest key for this friendly is the fullbacks for the U.S., Crystal Dunn and Kelly O'Hara, because really personnel-wise, these teams are extremely similar and very well matched. They both got clinical number 9s, world-class wingers. Ertz and Spitze are the ball winners in the defensive midfield. midfield. The USA's biggest advantage with this matchup is the fact that Dunn and O'Hara are so skilled at making deep runs and joining the attack. They're both unique two-way players, and the Dutch don't quite have that versatility with their fullback, so I see that being the only major difference. I like the US as a slight favorite, but it should be a great game. And of course, it's not a guarantee that both teams even send out their best possible lineups. This is just a friendly, and with the Olympics not too far away, both coaches may want to experiment with different lineups, different tactics. So speaking of the Olympics, if you haven't heard, they were pushed back to July 2021. And 10 of the 12 women's soccer teams have already qualified. The US and the Netherlands will both be in Japan. That's a huge competition in women's soccer, second only to the World Cup. The USA won the gold in 04, 08, and 2012. But in 2016, they were knocked out in the quarterfinals by Sweden. They left Brazil without a medal, so they'll want to redeem themselves in Tokyo. This game between the US and Netherlands, an important stepping stone for both teams in terms of Olympic preparation next year. All right, so thank you so much for watching. If you have any thoughts on the US women's national team or this upcoming game against the Netherlands, please leave a comment. Subscribe to the Snowman Sports Media for more soccer and football content, and I'll be back real soon. Thanks a lot. Cheers.